Austin, Texas is changing. We need to make sure that the evolution we are experiencing is driven by the needs and goals of our citizens. We want our city's future to be defined and respected as a community. We don't want to be treated as a commodity. On June 14th, 2012, Austinites and the City Council worked together to shape the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan to guide our city's development for the coming generations. Now, several years later, the Austin City Planning and Development staff and paid consultants are attempting to implement Austin's comprehensive plan in a direction that violates the very intent of what the citizens and the council envisioned. What follows is a powerful display of holding the city staff and consultants accountable. What was predicted to happen years ago is occurring. Homeownership in single-family neighborhoods' quality of life would be usurped and degraded in the name of accommodating increased population density. We revisit the intent of the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan as was defined by our citizens and the City Council in 2012. We are the taxpayers, and we are responsible for setting the performance expectations for our elected representatives and holding them for their intent and their word. We won't back down.
The growth concept map advocates protecting established neighborhoods. It was extensively revised to respect the adopted neighborhood plans. It focuses development in corridors. And
there's very little that offers protection for the very anchors of our community, single-family homes, without which neighborhoods would be in a constant state of flux. People with no power continue to be displaced from areas where rent was once affordable, home ownership a possibility, and were forced to move somewhere else. And that's called sprawl.
Yet when we talk about the growth concept map in adding neighborhood centers, adding corridors, having them go across the city, shouldn't there be a reference and a context and as a starting point, neighborhood plans? It's not there. It needs to be there. This plan is not acceptable without that reference. There is nothing in here, Mayor, to recognize your public statements nor the statements of most of the members of this council that says that Imagine Austin will not trump neighborhood plans.
Clear understanding, and I'm saying on the record again, is that neighborhood plans could only be changed through the normal amendment process and not by adoption of the Imagine Austin plan. Now, Mr. Guernsey, would you care to comment on that? But just plain and simple. The neighborhood plans that are in place now, the zoning and the flums, are unchanged by the Imagine Austin plan. They can only be changed through the same process by which they're changed today.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
When you look at the description and definition of activity corridor, there's no reference at all to turning to the neighborhood plan as the guide for a particular development and particular density that might come into that particular corridor. So the neighborhood plan gets no preferential treatment, no reference as a starting point. And so then you're stuck with saying, okay, well then we have a developer and they have the fancy model and we want this right here and it says activity corridor, so this is activity. It's envisioned by Imagine Austin, the comprehensive plan, so we get to have that nice big building. And this might conflict with the neighborhood plan, but that's where the rub would be.
But maybe we could also add a sentence that said all neighborhood plans will be respected and not be overruled by the comp plan. If everybody supports that and we want to be clear, then let's just put a sentence in there that says that. I've got a long email chain on this too, and then finally in a meeting where we're drawing on maps and everything, I asked Mr. Guernsey, and finally I said, well, what is it? If it comes down to one versus the other, what is it? Will the neighborhood be, which is it going to give? And he said, the Imagine Austin, the comp plan will trump a neighborhood plan. So he said that to me in person. So let's clarify it right now. Let's put a sentence in here that says neighborhood plans will be respected.
When members from the ANC Executive Committee visited the mayor the other day, he did ask us a provocative question, which we've talked about earlier tonight. How would we feel if the neighborhood plans trumped the comprehensive plan? We would feel pretty good about that. but nowhere in the language of the text does it say that specifically. It needs to be said.
You already have received a letter from us asking you to retain the language that was added to the comprehensive plan by the Planning Commission to ensure that existing neighborhood and area plans are recognized and respected when considering rewrite of the city code. As I said, I think you're hearing that consistently tonight.
As being a member of the Allendale Neighborhood Association, I certainly am for the neighborhood plans being given preference over the Imagine Austin plan. Thank you.
Jan Triplett is
This comprehensive plan opens the floodgates and allows the tsunami we're seeing today to further enable developers to mine Austin for money on the backs of Austinites and at the cost of our community values. The comprehensive plan needs to emphasize specifically and state that neighborhood plans trump. Many people have spoken of that. That is a priority. If it's already in there, let's reinforce it.
And I hope you will preserve your promise that the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan will not trump neighborhood planning.
Councilmember Riley.
I'll move approval. Move that we close the public hearing and approve the plan.
Councilmember Riley moves to approve close the public hearing and approve the Planning Commission recommendation, second by the Mayor Pro Tem.
I have some motions that I wanted to make to amend to address some of the issues that have been raised. To strengthen the concept that the growth concept map is consistent with the neighborhood plans, because there was that amazing effort to compare the FLUMs of the neighborhood plans with the growth concept map and make sure we got those aligned properly. And so I wanted to add just a statement to that effect on page 90 in the middle of a paragraph that says, the growth concept map was also compared to and adjusted for consistency with the future land use maps in the adopted neighborhood plans.
Councilmember Riley? Sure. Mayor Pro Tem, okay.
All right, and then